Hey, it's me again. And in today's video, we're going to be doing part 2 of my ChatGPT series, where I'm going to be making a Roblox game using ChatGPT's ideas. No ChatGPT scripts, only its ideas. For today's episode, we're going to be focusing on scripting and modeling. So this is going to be a decently long video. I'm assuming around 30 minutes. I'm not sure. This is pre-recording the actual video. So yeah, let's get right into it. So if you remember from last episode, which I will link in the description, I will make a whole playlist based on this series. We got a genre, a name, and a plot for our game. So our goal for today's video is to get what ChatGPT has given us and put that into Roblox Studio. We want to build off of what ChatGPT has given us. But first, let me quickly do a quick little promotion. In this video, the promotion is Doors Bat Albert. Doors Bat Albert is a Doors fan game created by a game development team. No, yeah, that's their name. Game development team is ran by 3 people. Harvey Gaming, Kian, and It's Isaac IO. The UGC event is in development, where you will be able to get the portable shop UGC, which is practically just Jeff's shop from Doors. And I'm gonna be honest, this game is actually pretty fun. It has different mechanics, it's gonna have different mechanics, but it's also gonna have some familiar faces, such as Rush, Jack, and Ambush. But there might be some new faces, such as Screech, the A90 face from Doors, and many more. And I'm gonna be entirely honest, this game actually inspired me to make my own Doors fan game. So expect that and my other game, Brawl Supreme, to come out. Not very soon, but in a while. With Doors Bat Albert in development, there's much more stuff to come, so I recommend you play now and have fun while you can, because it's going to be so much harder when the game actually comes out. Alright, back to the video. Alright, now that we've finished with that promotion, let's get on with the actual video. So with what ChatGPT has told us, the game begins with your character waking up in a humble village on the outskirts of the kingdom. As you explore, you learn about the prophecy and the escalating tensions between different factions. So what that means, we have to quickly create a little village. So I'm going to just time-lapse this video, so it saves you guys some time, so you just don't see me modeling at a slow pace, because I'm a really slow modeler. So yeah, I'll get back to you guys when I finish modeling a quick little village. How the fuck do I rotate this thing? Am I stupid or something? Alright guys, so what my plan is right now, I'm gonna finish building this little section, and then after I do that, I'm gonna go to sleep, and then the next day, you'll probably see me wearing different clothing. So if you see me wearing different clothing in this video, then you know that it's gonna be the next day. So I'm gonna finish building all of this, and then tomorrow, I'm gonna start scripting the UI, everything practically. Alright guys, so I finished the basic look of the scene. Tomorrow when I wake up and like do my daily routine, I'm gonna get back on here. I'm gonna polish everything up and then I'm gonna start scripting everything. So I'll see you guys tomorrow, I guess, or in the next 20 seconds, I guess. Alright guys, so it is the next day, and we are going to be finishing up our map by polishing it. And after we polish everything, then I'm going to start scripting mainly the UI, like how everything's going to look, the menu screen, all that stuff. So first, what I'm going to do, because this scene is going to be like dark, I'm going to add some lights. But first, I'm going to set it to be 1. That way we have this type of lighting, which, as you know, isn't really good. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get my color shift, or not my color shift, sorry, my outdoor ambient. I'm going to switch that down. My ambient on here, I'm going to switch that down. And you can see we already have a tiny bit better of lighting. By making it darker, we have more room to work with. But I am going to make it a tiny bit lighter, that way you can see everything. And now I'm going to add some lights. So for a lantern, I'm going to quickly hop over to Blender and make a quick little model for a lantern. Alright guys, so I'm now on Blender and I'm going to quickly model a little lantern for our game. So I'm going to start with is I'm going to go into line, edit, and do Control R to make a loop cut. And I'm going to make that loop cut at around 0.8 on our axis, because I forget how Blender axes work, so I'm not going to quickly remember it by the name. Now I'm going to grab our bottom plate, and I'm going to scale that up. If it would scale up, I'm just going to do 1, have it back to normal, and then scale that thing a tiny bit up, like I'd say like 1.1. So now we have a solid start. Now I'm going to extrude on our cube a tiny bit more. That way we have another line. So what we're going to do with this line, we're going to grab all 4 corners. And we are going to scale that a bit in. So we have like a little glass holder for our lantern. Now I'm going to grab this top face on our cube, bring that a bit down. Now I'm going to grab that exact same face, press E, right click, so we just extruded the model, but we didn't move the model anywhere. So now if I quickly go and scale it down, we're going to have a little result like this, which we can now extrude a bit up and do the exact same thing, make another loop. But this time, instead of extruding it, we're going to move that one a bit up. Now, I know this isn't the best model out there, but I'm not really like that good with Blender, so I'm just using what I was taught with my skills. So I'm grabbing all the bottom sides and I'm going to scale that a bit up so we have a bit of a bigger base for our lantern. Now I'm going to grab this bottom and I'm going to extrude it. But instead, we're going to do the exact same process. Instead of extruding it again, we're going to grab our extrusion and we're going to scale it down a bit. So now we have a little lantern that we just made, and I want to see how it looks smooth. Let's not see how it looks smooth. You can add a modifier if you want, like a subdivision surface. I can make it look more like, I'd say, low poly but rounded at the same time. So you just get that exact same model. But now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna bring this guy over to Roblox Studio, and then I'm going to add some lighting. Alright guys, so I just imported the lantern mesh into Roblox Studio. So now I'm going to scale it down. And because we don't have an actual, like, outline on it, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get a highlight. So what a highlight does is that it can have a type of effect where it just outlines your whole model. So if I do black, you can see we have this outline here. But if I make it neon, you can see there's still that little light. This is just to save us time, so we don't have to focus on the lights model of the game. So yeah, this is how our lantern is gonna look. So I'm gonna quickly make a little ridge, I guess, for our lantern. So I'm going to quickly model it to be 0.5 by 0.5. I'm gonna scale this out. I'm gonna have a wood model, and then I'm gonna place that on there. But first, I'm gonna make this so it has proper sides. So 1.25, 2.25, 1.25, 1.25, 2.25, 1.25. So now it's more equal on all sides. So what now I'm gonna do, I'm going to get 6. I'm gonna get the 6 on the X. I'm gonna move that so it's directly in the middle of our model. And I'm gonna scale that a bit down. And now we have a quick little lantern model. So I'm gonna group these two together. So we can just duplicate this on our scene. Before we duplicate it, we're missing the key part, the actual light. So I'm gonna get a point light. Or not a point light, sorry. I'm gonna get an attachment. So it drags it more towards this area. I'm gonna add a point light to the attachment. Then I'm gonna set it to have like an orangish color. I'm gonna make it 12, add some shadows. So now, as you can see, we have some lighting, so our scene is not entirely dark. So now I'm gonna duplicate it, but first I'm gonna change my movement to 12 studs, so we can properly drag this out throughout our model. So now, as you see, we have lighting, but this side's going to be tricky because we have our shops in the way. So what we can do, we can get these little areas right here. So first, let's change this back to 0.25. Sorry about that. So we could change this back to 0.25 and drag it to the side of both of these. So now if I move this 12 studs, it goes directly in the middle of all of these guys. But for this one, I'm going to have 5 lanterns on this side. And this one, I'm going to have 4. So now we have a well-lit area with some little designs. We have our little model that we made. First, I'm going to reset his... Oh, yeah, I forgot. Let me quickly set his primary part to his humanoid root part. So now you can see that he's directly in the middle of where we want to grab him. There's a little entrance right here. We are planning to make the scene wake up right here, because it's saying we're waking up in a humble village. It's not telling us where, though. So that I'm taking the initiative of making us wake up on this hay bale with this guy trying to save our lives. But I haven't finished modeling him yet. So I'm going to quickly just group all of this for now. And I'm going to get to work on the UI. So for our UI, I always start with a screen GUI because that's how you actually have the UI to show up. I call this one the main GUI, where we have the basic components of a GUI. If you guys don't know what GUI stands for, it stands for Graphical User Interface. So I will just make this a frame covering up the whole screen, but invisible. I'm going to call this an intro frame. So this is what our menu is going to be. So I'm going to start off with the text label. This is going to be our title. So I'm going to find a good font to use. I'm probably going to do Eater or Fantasy, because Fantasy is the font I started off with, and it's actually a pretty good font. Is there still Fantasy, or did they remove it? Oh, they removed Fantasy? Alright, that's completely fine. I'll just do Fondamento. Fondamento is another, like... How would I explain this? Like, I guess you could say, like, old font. Not really old, but, like... I'm trying to figure out a word to do for this. Fantasy. The word I'm looking for is fantasy. So it's like a fantasy type font. So it would match the style of our game. Same with like many others that I'm not mentioning, like Grenz Gotzich, but that one's like too fancy for me. Balthazar, that's fantasy, I just realized. If I'm positive, let me just try something. Yeah, that's fantasy. Because I remember my old Piggy game, Peaky, was made in fantasy, but it's now called Balthazar for some weird reason. So I guess I'm just going to use Fondamento, though, because it's more of a nicer looking font. So I'm going to make the background transparency to 1, so there's no background behind the text. I'm going to set the text color to white. Then I'm going to name this Chronicles of the Astral Revenant, as ChatGPT has given us. So now I'm going to scale this. So I'm going to scale this to be something like this. But now this is where it becomes tricky. You want to say your anchor point is 0.5. Set your text to be 0.5, comma 0.25. And then you want to set your x to be 0.95, so it's not directly in the middle. So now we have our title text. We're going to get some UI designs. So first I'm going to start with a UI stroke. So as you can see, it has that little outline on it. I'm going to make that 3 so it looks like it has this type of effect. Then I'm going to get a UI gradient. This is what I love about UI gradients, though. If I quickly make a gradient go from white to black... Sorry about that again. If I make the gradient go from white to black, and I set the rotation to 90, it has it directly down. But now I can change my offset to be 0.15. So it has like a little type of effect on it. I don't really know what to call this. But I'm going to make one stroke 6 and one stroke 3. And I'm going to set the 6th stroke to have a lighter color. Actually, no. Fuck the 2nd stroke. This looks nice in its own. With the gray outline, what it does, it makes it look like it has a darker outline instead of just a black outline, which can be good for a lot of games. So now I'm going to make the text button. So the text button you got to be really accurate with. So first I'm going to start out by doing 0.5, comma 0.5 on our anchor point. I'm going to set the position to be 0.5, comma 0, comma 0.75, comma 0. So now it's directly in the middle of what we want. So now I'm going to set the background transparency to 1, but here's where it gets difficult. We want to make it so it only happens when you press the play button, and with ROBLOX and their button features, if you do play, it has this little background. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do that. I'm going to set it to be directly, like, I guess, touching the text. So now I'm going to switch the font to Fondamento. Make it a play button. And I'm going to do the exact same thing I did with our other one. However, for this, I'm going to make it a tiny bit green. And I'm going to get my UI stroke. I'm going to get that color of green, and I'm going to make it darker. So now we have a little play button. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a credits button. Or not credits, because this is a solo project. But like, description on the game. So I'm gonna call this description. I can't spell holy. Alright, so now I scaled it. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna switch the position to be a tiny bit lower than our play button. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention this. For our main GUI screen, we want to turn on ignore GUI inset. So what that does, at the top of the screen, you know, there's like a hotbar for Roblox. And what that does is that if you don't turn this on, then this will clip, or it won't clip, past the bar. So for example, if I'm having a black screen or like a white screen, like, sorry for like the people watching at night, but it's about to get bright. So it looks like this if you have GUI inset turned on, and it would look something like this if you have it turned off. So it's recommended to turn that on. And now I'm going to get our description button. I'm going to call this desk button, so we shorten it out. But now I'm going to get the description button, and I'm going to change the color of it by doing something like this. And now we have a quick little menu that we could start out. And I'm going to have the camera face, like, over here when you start off. But it's going to fade to black. And you're going to wake up here. And also, I forgot to mention that all of you guys in my Discord server, in my comments, you guys told me that this game should be multiplayer. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make this a multiplayer game for everyone to play, and it's going to be like some type of adventure, like, think of Zenith VR, or just Zenith overall. Zenith is a good game. It's multiplayer. Anyways, let's get to scripting our menu. So first things first, I'm going to get a extra part. I'm going to show the orientation indicator. So now we know which way is front facing. I'm going to get the position of our portal, and I'm going to copy it and paste it onto our part. So now it looks like our part is the portal. Like, our part is in the portal. So I'm going to scale this up a bit more. I'm going to make the scale on this 1, 1, 1. So now we have a cube, a small little cube. And we're going to name this cube our camera part. And what this cube is going to do, this cube is going to have us start off with the camera being in this exact location, so we don't have to set anything. So let's get to scripting. So we're going to add a local script into our main GUI, screen GUI. We're going to call this main handler. And we're going to start out with some variables. So first I'm going to do a local player variable. So this is going to be game.players.localPlayer. And then I'm going to have a character. So it's going to be player.character or player.character added :wait. So what this means is that it will check to see if we have a character, or it will wait until our character is added. And now we're going to have a separate variable called camera, and this we're going to do game.workspace.currentCamera. Now this is what I like doing. Since this is a main GUI, I'm going to turn off reset on spawn, because we don't want everything going invisible, the stuff that we have. So I'm going to make script.parent. Actually, no, I'm going to make a local variable for this. So I'm going to call this local intro equals script.parent.intro frame. So intro.visible equals true. Now let's get to coding our camera. So first I'm going to do a repeat wait camera.camera type equals enum.camera type dot scriptable. Camera.camera type is equal to enum.camera type dot scriptable, but we're going to have a second thing. So now what this line does, it makes it so our camera is not going to be able to be moved by the player. It's going to have only lines of code to move it. So now I'm going to do a camera.cframe, and I'm going to set our current part. So I'm going to do game.workspace.camera part.cframe. So now, if I run the game, then our camera would swap to part. So let's quickly test that out. There we go. And that's another problem. I forgot to anchor everything. So everything's going to be falling and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to quickly do select. Since we grouped everything, I'm just going to anchor everything. And since this is a rig, I'm going to unanchor him. But I'm going to have him in a separate folder just for rigs. So I'm going to make a folder in our workspace called rigs. And then he's going to be the first one. So I haven't figured out a name for this guy. But as you see, we have our camera to work. Now I'm going to script our buttons. And what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to make a separate variable at the very top called local tween service equals game :get service tween service. So what this does, this creates a new, I can't speak, sorry. This gets a service called tween service with our variable. So now, instead of doing game.tween service, we can do tween service, but we want to make a little exit tween. So now I'm going to do local info, or local frame info equals tween info dot new, and then I'm going to have 1. So what this does, this creates some information on a tween that we want to have, and this helps us by showing us the different stuff that we want to do. So if I want to do time, that would be how long the tween would take. Easing style, this you want to experiment with different styles for how your tween would look. So my personal favorite is cubic, but what I'm gonna do, instead of cubic, I'm gonna have a, actually no, I'm gonna do quad or cubic. I'm gonna do cubic. My easing direction is going to be out, and this is the base of our tween. Everything else is set to be just one tween entirely, as you see in our tween. I'm not sure if you could see this on Roblox or on my OBS, but I'm gonna just pray that you do. So this just creates a repeat count, so how many times the tween would repeat. Reverses, would the tween go in reverse, and delay time, how long to wait before the tween is actually played. So now we have our frame info. We're going to make a new variable called frame goals. So this one, we're going to make a table out of. I'm going to press enter on the table, and our position is going to equal to, since this is a 2D object, this is a frame, we're going to want to set our position to be a udim2. So this is a 2-dimensional object for our UI. So udim2.new, and then we're going to do -1.5, comma 0, comma 0, comma 0. Actually, no, instead of -1.5, we're going to do -1, because this is the intro frame. So now we have all of our areas set in stone. So we have our tween, we have our camera, we have our variables. We can now make a function calling whenever you press the play button. So I'm going to do intro.playbutton.mousebutton one click, connect function. So this calls a function whenever we hit the mouse button. So we're going to make it so you cannot click the button again after you press it. So intro.playbutton.selectable, or yeah, selectable equals false. And now we're going to have our tween to create one. So I'm going to make a new local variable. I'm going to call it tween. And we're going to do tween service create. So what this does, we're creating a new tween practically for our intro frame. So intro, and then tween info, we're going to paste our frame info variable. Same with our frame goals, all separated by a comma. And now we could do tween play, and then we got to do tween completed wait. After it's done, like after the tween is finished, we're gonna hide our intro, and we're gonna make the camera be custom instead of scriptable. So custom is the base camera used for Roblox games. So this is just a quick little script for our play button. And the description, I will just paste the description that ChatGPT has given us. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I'm sorry if it's actually pretty long. This took me a day, I guess, to record, because I started recording at night, because I wanted to get the video out as soon as possible. And this is the second day of recording, so I just want to say thanks for watching. If you guys stuck to the very end, you were amazing. I want you to chill out, having a little break, stop whatever's stressing you. If school's stressing you, don't worry, you'll make it through, because I am with you, alright? I want you guys to have a good night or day. Peace.